Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. The story I want to share that's tragic and sad, as well as sometimes infuriating. 30 pastors within the Church of God in Christ denomination has passed away due to COVID-19. And on top of that, the denomination issued a statement that they blamed the White House for mixed signals. What? Now, before I get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section. All comments are welcome. The Church of God in Christ is the largest denomination, African American denomination in the nation, okay, with some 6 million members. My spiritual roots, as it were, comes from this denomination. My grandmother was a long-time member of this denomination. When we was growing up as little kids, and especially back in the 60s and 70s, the term sanctified was oftentimes used of the holiness teaching and practices in which they lived. Okay, but this article that came out, where it shows that 30 pastors from the Church of God in Christ passed away. And one of the things that kind of jumped out, and it says right here, I'm going to just jump in and read these two paragraphs. It says, and actually, it's, let's see, I think he's quoting Bishop Porter. Let me go back. I'm going to read these three passages, because he's reflecting on these pastors who have passed away. He says, these persons have given their time and talents to the church in such an extensive way, particularly Bishop Scott in Mississippi, who was such a kind individual. I actually spoke with him when he first went into the hospital. And he answered the cell phone, and I could tell he was having respiratory issues, Porter said. He explained that in March, there were several conferences. Now, I understand this now. In March, there were several conferences in more than 300 areas of the country where the church was to meet in preparation for the annual April meeting. Members were also encouraged to attend funerals for those in the faith, which Porter said he thinks may have spread the virus. I think they still had their conferences and conventions because there were mixed signals from the United States, White House, and others, because they really didn't know, Porter says. That is astounding. By the way, this is March, not January. In March, Corona was well on its way. It had exploded. Also, knowledge of what was going on. So, why did they ignore? And why did they listen to the White House if they on what they've considered mixed messages? This is tragic right here, because, again, 30 pastors. And by the way, that's just so far. Notice what he says right here, that they met in 300 areas. They were they're only talking about the pastors who passed away, and not so much as the members who came in contact with these pastors and with other leaders in the congregation all across the country. Folks, this is astounding right here. Now, there is the issue where people say that the COVID-19 is now hitting the African American community worse than any other community. And yeah, it is. But I think we need to take a hard look at why. And I'm not going to get into all. Now, some of it is because diabetes, maybe respiratory issues. Like, I have respiratory issues myself. And so I try extremely hard to guard myself against getting infected with COVID-19, because I don't know how it would hit me. I pray and I ask God for His mercy to keep me safe. But people, this reckless kind of abandonment, this cavalier attitude about this disease, in my opinion, is doing more damage. These are church leaders. Now, there was a story just a couple of days ago, like over the weekend. Now, I kid you not, where you had this party on the west side of Chicago, okay, where some 100 plus people jam-packed in this house party. Now, get this, packed. Now, guess what? Some of these people, we can assume because of this infectious rate, that how many of them take this disease home to their parents, their families, their co-workers, their neighbors. Now, just the other day, the mother, outraged, the city outraged, going after the mother, parades her 26-year-old son on the news and basically said, he's 26 years old. We come to find out that the son didn't even live with the mother and had the party at her house. That's a whole other story, right? Or questions. But the son basically said this. The 26-year-old son said, no, I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't know that COVID-19 could, spread. Okay. Sounded like the governor of Georgia, right? That just last month, who basically said the same thing, that we didn't know how bad this thing can spread. I think the bigger issue here is that people are just not caring. They're just not taking this virus seriously. And even now, remember the push for certain states to reopen or the nation to reopen. That people are trying to, people like from Fox News that are, to me, trying to change the narrative. If there's ignorance, it's because you're listening to the wrong people. And just like they said they were looking at receiving mixed messages from the White House, well, why didn't you listen to the experts? Here's again what we know about this virus. It's no vaccination and it's no cure. It is a virus that attacks the respiratory system. It is a virus that spreads at an incredibly fast and easy rate. In other words, it's not like you have to work hard at it. I mean, just a swipe, a touch, whatever, and you affect it. And as you touch your face, your eyes, your nose, that virus then is introduced into your body that way. Two realities: no cure, no vaccination, and it spreads at an incredibly fast rate. Those are the two realities. Why don't you know that? And so here's what happens, and when people kind of get into this cavalier attitude about their freedoms because they can't go barbecue or get a haircut or go out, whatever. And you see Fox News changing the narrative for one of freedom, right? We got to be the Rosa Parks, one idiot said. Let me just say this. Answer those two questions then when you talk about reopening America. Answer those realities. How do you deal with the reality of this infection that is spread? And even if, here's another kind of truth to it, that the older you are and with more health issues, the harder and the more serious it's going to attack you. The younger you are, the healthier you are, it's going to be like a worst case of the flu you can imagine. And the people that I've talked to that have had COVID-19, have survived COVID-19, here's the point. You don't even want to deal with that. So why deal with that? What is worth even dealing with that? Now, of course, we don't have time to really get into all of the kind of solutions. The poor leadership of our nation that now has produced that America now has tipped over 1 million cases of infected. That's our fastest thing is spreading since January. See, the problem is that we're not doing adequate testing. Okay, no one has a cure, but there's some measures we can be doing. And the biggest measure that you can do, because you can't control what the government is or isn't doing it. And that's what's foolish about these church leaders. That you're looking at the White House? Really? You're going to try to blame the White House? No. I'm going to blame your foolishness. Because here's the thing, the reality, that even the White House, in a sense, didn't deny. Medical people has never denied how fast this thing can spread and the seriousness of this virus. Now, there are people that may tell you that they don't believe it. There are people, and again, we won't get into that. But here's the thing that we have to realize, okay, that this virus still spreads out there. And it spread at an incredibly fast rate. And the one thing that you can do, you can protect yourself. If ain't nobody else can protect you, you can protect yourself. Wash your hands. Get in the habit of that. Keep your distance from people. All right, guys, that is my perspective. Please like and share this video. And as always, subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. If you have a thought or comment, add it. Until next time, I'll see you then.